Good evening once again. A lot of formulas and a lot of deliberations already going on. And I'm going to talk to you about something which we do every day, and we are responsible for this kind of a situation. Well, what is it? An abnormal cornea. And I'm going to limit myself to an abnormal cornea, which is post refractive surgeries and keratoconus, right? The cornea is the poor structure which is bent, bruised, and whatever is done to that cornea, burnt also. And ultimately, all these patients are the younger ones who come back to us for their cataract surgeries, and that is why we need to be very, very cocksure about what we give them, because all these patients have already tested a life without spectacle, and so we need to give them a proper IOL power calculation so that they can still continue living a life without glasses if possible. So, post-refractive surgery patients, as you all know, we constitute PRK and LASIK as well as RK, corneal scar and dystrophy, corneal degeneration, that is the keratoconus, and post-keratoplasty. Though I'm going to limit myself to the corneal refractive surgeries and the keratoconus, not the keratoplasty. So the biggest challenge is the IOL power calculation. This slide you all know, Dr. Twinkle used it to explain to us the ELP and how the older generation formulas were calculated, taking into consideration that the cornea and IOL are assumed as a single plane. And that's why this has to change. This cannot hold true in an irregular cornea, which has been already bent and bruised. Why? A conventional keratometry, it measures the anterior corneal curvature only. There is a fixed ratio between anterior and posterior corneal curvature, and it assumes that this stays like that for life. The keratometric index of 1.3375 to calculate corneal power, well, this is also one number which is going to change, and most importantly, it does not take into account the corneal thickness, especially in the case of a LASIK or a procedure in which we have removed the stroma. The corneal optics, they change significantly after the refractive surgery. We all know that. Sorry. Let's take example of a LASIK and an RK. As you can see in LASIK, there is always a flattening of the, in a myopic LASIK, there is always a flattening of the central cornea. And there is a decrease in the thickness. These are the two very important factors which alter the biomechanics as well as the shape of the cornea. Against that, in an RK, there is no loss of tissue, but there is a change in the curvature of the central cornea. We have to remember that in RK, the change in the central cornea is restricted to about 2.2 millimeters of the center. In LASIK, it could be more depending on the optical zone, but the more flattening is there in the middle, in the central 3 to 4 millimeters, which is maximum, especially when the Gaussian beam lasers were used with the prolate profiles. This is not so accentuated. So the problems in the conventional IOL power calculations will be the abnormal Gulstrand ratio, which I explained, the effective corneal area, and the wrong ELP estimation. All this leads to a very erroneous IOL power calculation and a dissatisfied patient. So we need to evaluate the true corneal power, correct? And we also need to ascertain that the refractive index, the corneal refractive index, has to be now changed to 1.3315. How to measure both the corneal surfaces? Well, there are three big groups. The Purkinje-Sanson images, which is a Schering, Dunn, and Royston, were the authors who brought the Cassini to no longer used. Then came the slit lamp or the Scheimpflug principle, where Van der Heide and the Doubleman were the people who brought this camera. This has been used in the Pentacam. Most successful was Pentacam to begin with, then Galilei, and now Sirius have also jumped into it. And then there is the OCT scanning principle, which was brought by Izzat and Marcos. And the Zeiss Owl Master 700, the Heidelberg Anterion, the Optoview, the Tomy, and the Cassia are the brands of machines which are used to us, available to us. Let's talk about Owl Master 700. In fact, I believe Dr. Harshul talked about this. The biggest advantage of Owl Master 700 is that the swept source OCT allows us to measure not only the anterior but the posterior, because it passes through it. It actually makes a torus fit, and the mathematics and the formula inside it converts it into a true K, or the TK, total keratometry. The second important parameter is the Holaday equivalent keratometry report. Well, this usually comes out of a pentacam, and this is also a very important parameter which gives us a good effective corneal power, so that our IOL calculation can be good. So how to tackle the issue in post-refractive surgery? Well, we have the two possibilities. We use the measured, that is the total TK, or the estimated correction factors which are there in the effective corneal power in pentacam. The true corneal power in new formula is used in like Barrett True K formula and the Holaday, while now there are certain smart engineers who have brought something wherein we do not have to measure the cornea. Well, they do not rely on the corneal power like Aramberry, the Double K, the Haggis, the Presner, the Olsen, and the Oculix. So we have these two big groups where we can actually either measure the proper corneal power, or we can just bypass the corneal power. So when we use a measured or an estimated true K power, that is, we are considering the cornea as an important structure, we can go to the conventional online ASCRS post corneal refractive surgery calculator. This is the most easy and the one which has been used the longest. The now Barrett True K formula allows us to give a very good IOL power calculation, to get a very good IOL power calculation, wherein we use the online or the TK incorporate IOL Master 700 measurements. And we have the Holaday 2 post CRS formula for equivalent keratometry of the pentacam, or now the pentacam HR or the Oculix is used. This is the IOL power calculation website. And there, as you can see, we have a lot of options. We can use the Samas, we can use the Haggis, we can use the Galilei, and this allows us to actually compare and come to a conclusion on a single page. This is the Barrett True K formula, online formula, and this also can be very effectively used, and probably this has become the most used formula for at least the irregular corneas. So coming to another group, which are the formulas which are not relying on keratometry at all. The Olsen formula is the most widely used, and the C constant. The C constant defines the IOL position in terms of the crystalline lens anatomy. So it absolutely bypasses the K reading. This becomes very important when we do not have the previous reports, we do not have the previous measurements. This also becomes very important, and we actually bypass the entire cornea. Let's talk about RK. In the LASIK or the refractive surgeries where an ablation was done, the situation was different. While what is the difference in the post-RK patients? There is no tissue removed. The RK flattens both anterior and posterior corneal surfaces in a small central optical zone, which is significantly smaller than the standard keratometry zone, like I said, about 2 mm. And here the entire cornea moves forward. So the advantage is, and so there is no change in the anterior posterior curvature relationship. The post-RK measuring K use several devices. So what do you do? What would you do? Use several devices to measure K's. Use the flattest K as average for K for calculations. You can use an average of 1, 2, and 3 millimeters and 4 millimeters value of topographer. And this is a nice paper which says that the accuracy of the IOL power determination can be improved if the flattest calculated K is used in the IOL determination, and myopia is targeted as a refractive outcome. And this is how they ask us to keep the myopic target refraction about 1.5 diopters for 12 or more cut RK. Usually the RKs are more than 8 only. People have used intraoperative aberrometry in this kind of cases, but not very reliable. Some other tips are do not do the dominant eye first, and adjust in the eye accordingly, and avoid toric and multifocal lenses. Again, the paper here says that the OCT formula and true K were comparable to yes. And refractive stability for 4 weeks. It is 4 weeks for at least whenever it's a 4 RK cut, and 2 to 3 months for 8 or more cuts. Let's come to the another big group, and that is keratoconus. There are 3 pillars in the management of keratoconus and cataract coexisting, and they are dependent on the age, the stage, and the stability. Let's see some examples. There is a young patient, 35 years, with a stable keratoconus. The topography is, of course, mandatory, and use an optical biometry. Use the 4th generation formulas for IOL calculations like Haigis, Shamas, Holaday, and the Barrett Universal 2. All results should be in 2 diopters of Haigis formula. This is a patient who is young, mild, and stable. But what if he has an unstable keratoconus? Well, in that case, you have to either wait for stability. You can stable the cornea again with a cross-linking, do a pinhole test. If vision improves, then do cross-linking plus intracorneal rings. If not improved, then again cross-linking. Middle-aged cataract with stable and mild to moderate case, well, corneal topography is of course must. Optical biometry, compare the K readings, use the Haigis, Shamas, Barrett Universal 2 and Hills formula. Toric is to be avoided. Middle-aged cataract with advanced stable keratoconus, this is again going to be a problem. You might have to include DALK also along with the phaco and IOL, and there are a lot of issues with the corneal thickness also in these patients. And again, this is going to be a big challenge, old age above 60 years with keratoconus, right? So this is another old age with keratoconus where we might have to consider a standard PKP, and then all the vagaries of keratoplasty also creep into the IOL power calculation. I'll try and skip this formulae. So for keratoconus IOL power calculations, preoperative considerations like mild to moderate, stable keratoconus, Barrett Universal 2, all corneal bypass formulas like Olsen, Hagizel, and Oculis also do better because we're bypassing the cornea. Keep a myopic target recommended target for 48 to 53 diopters, at least half a diopter, and for above 59, a target of at least 2 to 2.5 diopters. Well, these are the extreme cases. IOL selection, I will not go into into those details. The location of incision, the size of incision, and the capsular staining are also important. So this is for post keratoplasty. Thank you very much. I had to speed up. Thank you.